Welcome to He's Been Doing It All Day. We're Adam and Symon. This episode is brought to you by the Carlton Draft. Check them out at carltondrafttshirts.com. Our shirts are on there too, so make sure you check out the website, carltondrafttshirts.com. He's Been Doing It All Day t-shirts are up there for sale. Check us out at Instagram at Been Doing It All Day, and check out us. The full episode is on YouTube Monday nights. Just search for He's Been Doing It All Day. It's time for round 14.
Richmond versus West Coast. Ooh, baby, this was the game. This was the one to sort the men from the boys, to sort the pretenders from the not pretenders. This was the one to find out if the Tigers had truly woken from their slumber or if West Coast could travel even a little bit. Well, Richmond have and West Coast can't. Noah, oi fellas, you guys want to shout a bolters? Went for a specky. The Kennedy curse struck and his knee gave Josh Kennedy one hell of a concussion. Josh Kennedy's man, Dylan Grimes, took full advantage though. He faked like he'd pinged his hamstring and just took the rest of the afternoon off with Josh Kennedy out of the game. It started with an arm wrestle going back and forth, until the Tigers went bang, 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 bang in the third quarter, and that was all she wrote. The highlight, though, was without question an absolute long-range missile. I don't know if South Korea, North Korea, whoever needs to know how to get these long-range missiles in action, just need to get Noah Bolter on the phone, because he launched one from about 85 metres. Our man Tommy Lynch finished with 3 goals for the Tigers, and the Tigers came out victorious.
Hawks versus Dons. The clash of the powerhouse teams of the 80s, except 30 years on, both of them stink. Essendon fighting for a final position, the Hawks fighting to get out of the bottom 4. And it was the Hawks who started hotter than Emily Harwood at my Year 10 formal as they rolled to a 6-goal lead at half-time. There'll be no patting on the back for the Hawks medical team as Big Jono went down with another injury. That bloke has less luck than Roy Sullivan. And if you don't know Roy Sullivan, he was literally hit by lightning 7 times in his life. Back to the 6-goal lead though. The Bombers whittled it away, led chiefly by soon-to-be Brisbane Lion Joe Danaher. Big Joey was the difference as he slotted 3-3 and inspired a massive comeback. Dons hit the lead midway through the 4th and despite a few shaky moments, never relinquish it and keep their season alive with a 16-point win.
Port Adelaide versus Sydney. Now this was a weird one. Port Adelaide started mild to medium, then got hot. Sydney started mild, then got ice cold. Then Port went ice cold before getting scorching hot in the last quarter. It was like watching a cooking lesson with Heston. You weren't sure what was going on most of the time, but you knew in the end Port Adelaide were going to win. Zach, I can't believe it's not Butters, was running into an open goal before he made the most awkward cook-up of all time. Charlie Dixon went full Hulk smash and proved that he's just bigger and badder than everyone on the field. And we get to get all the latest news from Port Adelaide when later on we talk to star archer Xavier Duursma. Port Adelaide walked this one in 26 points.
Dogs versus Cats. The battle of the backyard pets. The Woofers got off to an absolute belting start and went full Usain Bolt out of the blocks and put on 6 goals before the pussies had even roused from their sleep. I considered turning it off. Luckily I didn't. Dragged back into the game by none other than man whose last name is Dangerfield. Patrick did what Patrick does in big moments and almost single-handedly willed the Cats over the line. Hungry Hippo Zach Tui pulled a brilliant trifecta. He was whacked in the ribs, elbowed in the head, and then he's threw his mouthguard at the fence. What a guy. Jeez, we love him. Gary went rowing his boat down to the goal square as he snuck through a couple of snags and tried to go full Goku Super Saiyan with his celebration. Doggies in a significant, dare I say it, danger of missing the 8 now. The Hoops, in their biggest comeback since 1931, take it by 11 points.
Melbourne versus St Kilda. Alice, who the is Alice? Well, Alice is the host of this matchup between the top 8 certainties and the team I dubbed absolutely no good, they'll never make it last week. Melbourne started with a flurry, eventually getting out to a 3-goal lead, and then went full Melbourne, while St Kilda had the testicular fortitude to drag them back in by halfway through the 3rd. And now we wait. We wait and we wait. It was over 30 minutes until the next goal, which went to Melbourne. It was Christian Petrarca, 1v3, bombed on top of his head, ball dribbles to his foot, 35 metres out, and then he learns to spin it like murally, getting a beautiful off spin straight through for a scorer review. And then we waited a little bit more before it was confirmed. Melbourne sneak into the 8 with a victory by 3 points, but I think the Saints will be okay.
Freo versus Greater Western Sydney. Maybe it was a beer at the cot, maybe it was Maybelline, or maybe it was just being allowed out of hotel quarantine, but something has happened to the Giants because they were a different team against the Purple. I've used it before and I'll use it again. Lockie had an absolute Whitfield day as he racked up touches at wheel. Matt made Nat have a boring afternoon as he held the Freo skipper to 4 touches in the first half and 11 for the game. We were again reminded why Doing It All Day favourite Nick Haynes said to watch out for Jake, no relation to Peter Riccardi, as he kicked 4 in his second ever game. We hate to see it, but Toby will find out if the grass is always greener on the other side of the tribunal as his fist went exploring the internal organs of Reece Conker. The only other blemish for the Giants was when Sausage Mumford, a man who is more clumsy than Sandra Bullock in Miscongeniality, dropped a knee into the head of Josh Kelly and ruled his day out. The Giants by a convincing 38 points. And then, as always, you come to He's Been Doing It All Day for your live footy update. It's Carlton versus Collingwood. Carlton currently leading 6-2-38 to Collingwood 4-6-30, and we're midway through the second quarter. We also need our prediction. Gold Coast versus North Melbourne. Simon, who's going to win it?
Obviously North Melbourne, greatest team on earth. Yep.
Highly debatable in North. Actually, it's their 2000th game ever. But, I mean, that game's coming up and they'll probably get beaten anyway. And that was round 14. Spicy take time, boys. Apparently you've got our first one, Justin. Who's the first spicy take?
It's room temperature. It's not too spicy. We're down to 5 teams that can win it. I think we had 6 a week ago. It's down to 5.
Who dropped off?
Port, Geelong, Brisbane, Richmond, and West Coast are only halfway. Well, I want to say 4.5, but they are teetering, depending on what their government want to do with the draw, because they clearly can't play in Queensland. They've made that evidently clear about the way they played at Metricon start of the year and on the weekend, and Saints are done after last night. They're just...
Saints are done.
They lose to too many close ones, and the draw's going to kill them. They're going to get someone tough in the first week of the finals, and the teams above them, I think they can beat one of them, but they can't beat 3 in a row, so we're down to 5.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Saints. I don't think the Saints can win it from an elimination final.
No, the Saints do not reek of the Bulldogs 2016. Like, I feel like when the Doggies did it from there, you kind of were like, oh, all right, hang on a second, we're on here, we're on it. They just don't. They can't do it. They lost to Melbourne on the weekend. If there's any indication of where they're at, it doesn't matter if you have a bad day or a good day. You know, you should have a bad day and still roll them. Do you reckon the Doggies are a shout?
Yeah.
They almost rolled the Cats.
I turned off at quarter time. Like, that's the unlosable game. That's so bad that they threw that away. So
Danger was a freak. You should have seen this man. Possessed.
Oh, I'm glad I turned it off.
Absolute man possessed.
I just don't think, I'm just not convinced by the Doggies forward line. Josh Bruce is, he just doesn't do it for me.
No.
I don't think he brings enough week in, week out. He might kick 4 one week and then he'll go missing for the rest of it.
I spoke to a Doggy supporter this week and they summed it up beautifully. I said, what do you think of Bruce? And they said, all he does is get in the astronauts' way. That's it. That's it. He's just kind of... But I think he's super important because they've got lots of young fellas in there and they just need a big angry guy to go in and just shake people. And that's all his job is.
They're not living and dying upon how Bruce plays. He's not winning them the game. He's taking an equally good defender and holding a bit of space and crashing packs for all those other guys. So
yep, that's all.
But I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money you're paying to a guy to crash a pack and not take a lot of contested marks in your forward line.
Very true.
But I mean, it's the Doggies midfield is what's going to win them the game, really, isn't it? It's the Bont, it's McRae, Hunter, Libba. Everyone's so good in there. But you've got a spicy take for us too, Si.
Oh, no, mine actually piggybacks off Justin's, and it really was how cooked a West Coast. Like, if there's no more games in Perth for them, they're done. They're done.
It's a long flight from Perth to Brisbane, and they hate it.
I don't understand, though. Like, everyone... Well, I mean, I do understand, because they're flying all the way, not even halfway across the country, literally all the way across the country. And they just play completely different. They're slower. They just lack energy. I mean, it didn't help that Josh Kennedy got concussed in the first quarter and then, like, that cooks their whole structure. But at the same time, like, come on, get it together.
I've got one to trial here. I'm a big shapes of the ground impact results guy.
Yep.
Now, I'll speak from Hawthorn experience. We have never won at Giant Stadium, too narrow. We normally play all right at the SCG, but it's too small. As soon as we go to the Adelaide Oval, and we played Optus really well, we played really well against West Coast, and we played okay against Freo. We need a big ground. Hawthorn, the G, they love it. They need to be able to swing the ball back and across. I don't know, Metricon versus Optus Stadium, I feel like they're pretty similar. Maybe Metricon's a bit narrower, but I just think venue, it's massive. And this year, everyone's playing all over the shop. I reckon it plays a bigger part than anything. And so many teams can't play at the Gabba. And that's going to be massive. Yep. If the granny's there...
I think, isn't the Gabba dimensions-wise, the Gabba is the same as the G?
Optus is the same.
That's always
as
the rumour that goes around.
Optus is the same as the G.
Yeah.
Optus is. Yeah, the
That's
Gabba
like
Company.
Essendon's training ground. They have two training grounds. One's the shape of Marvel and one's the shape of the G. So they just train on whatever they're playing on.
And they stink at both of them, so it's great.
Yeah.
One more. Before we go on, I reckon next year, travelling's not going to matter. You know when you go to Perth and you have only been there once in 3 years and you haven't played at Optus?
Yeah.
Teams are playing there like 3 and 4 times this year. They're going to go to Adelaide Oval next year and be like, yeah, this is completely fine for me. We've all played here before. I reckon teams like the interstate teams aren't going to have as big an advantage if everything goes back to normal soon.
Do you think next year, and I mean, look, we're definitely counting chickens here. Do you think, though, teams will go to the one-day travel like they've been doing this year? Fly in, play, fly out?
Yeah, I reckon definitely.
Enough teams have proved that they can do it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. My spicy take is that I think Toby will get suspended, but I don't think he should. Not if our boy Tom Lynch isn't getting suspended for that whack, then
Good point.
Almost the exact same thing happened. Collins just went down 4 steps later, but Conker went down straight away. If that's the difference between it, I think if he gets suspended, it's a classic Toby Green's getting suspended because he's Toby Green. Also, the sling tackle from Alex Neil-Bullen, the most unlucky player in the entire league. For him to get 4 weeks and then for Dalhouse to get off, incredible.
Yeah. But Tom Hawkins...
It's the same tackle.
Tom Hawkins has been whacking blokes every 2 weeks for the last 5 years, and he gets fine, week, fine, what... Tom Hawkins' rap sheet. Go into Twitter and type in Hawkins striking. I did it the other day. There was instantly 5 different videos of him punching 5 different blokes. The Phil Davis one in the jaw. It was I was like, oh, I might collate a few of these, and they were just all there sitting for me. I was like, it's perfect.
No, I think he'll get weeks though.
I don't think he should. That's what I think. I think he will get suspended. I don't think he should get suspended. Yeah. All right. Up next, we've got our interview with Xavier Duursma. Today's guest, Symon, is one of Port Adelaide's finest. We know that Foster makes absolutely shithouse beer, but they make great footballers. We have one of Foster's finest himself, Xavier Duursma. Welcome along, mate.
G'day, guys. Thanks very much for having me on the podcast here today. I can actually vouch for Foster beer. The town that I'm from's got nothing to do with the beer itself. I don't want my town slandered in that way, but yeah, I've not really tasted Foster's beer, so please don't slander my town that way.
I love it. That's great, mate. The first question I want to get into, Zach Butters. Now, he had an unfortunate incident in the game yesterday. He was running into an open goal and then appeared to trip on nothing and hyperextend his knee in what is hyperextensions are always super gruesome, but when they happen this way, you can't help but laugh a little bit. 1, is he okay? And 2, how much have you laughed at him?
Yeah, so for those two questions that we got there, 1, I laughed a lot. On the ground originally, you get a little bit worried because you see that happen and you're like, well, usually that doesn't happen, obviously that rarely happens ever. So when you see someone fall over their own feet, it's like, well, something must have gone wrong there. There could be an injury. But once I saw him get up, I did have a quiet chuckle to myself on the ground. And yes, he is okay. I think he just, as you said, just did hyperextend his knee. And apparently he just got the speed wobbles. He reckons he's going so quickly he got the speed wobbles. But
Mate, that sounds like my 2004 Mitsubishi Mirage used to get the speed wobbles above 70 k's.
Yeah, so I don't know. We might have to start calling Zach the good old speed wobbles, the Mitsubishi. So he's all right now, and he obviously finished off well yesterday. Played a good game, and yeah, he's going well.
Fantastic. We do know, and you also love Big Charlie. Your latest Instagram photo is you standing next to Big Charlie, and you're not a small guy by any stretch of the imagination, but he's massive. Are you concerned that he's going to burst out of his skin if he celebrates any harder?
He's a very big man, and yes, I don't know. I can't give you a confirmed answer on that one, but he does celebrate hard. But it's fair enough. He's been through a lot of difficult times in the last 24 months. So for him to just be out there and playing footy and being healthy is a massive achievement. And I don't really care too much how big you celebrate. I think it's better and it's good for the game to celebrate hard. So Charlie's obviously a very charismatic player out in the ground and plays the footy in a tough way. And when he kicks his goals, I think it's great that he celebrates hard because he shows his passion for the game. So I'm all about it really. But I'm not sure he could probably burst the blood vessel or something. But I think
might have a
probably worth it
stroke.
for that goal that he kicked the other day.
He genuinely might have a stroke if he celebrates any harder. We love it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Mate, look, there is a sneaky conspiracy around the he's been doing it all day office that Charlie Dixon actually took his own shirt off the other week when there was the wrestle and he's just strutting around tops off. I reckon it probably was him who did it to himself.
I wasn't actually out there for that one, so I'm not sure what happened there. I did see the scuffle, but I don't know how it got taken off. But we'll just go with that. We'll go with Charlie took his own shirt off just to show everyone.
Mate, and
we'll go with that one.
We do love celebrations, as we said. Mate, you've got a famous celebration. You're the archer. It's still going strong. We are 100% all about it. We think there should be a little bit more, so much so that we actually created a club about blokes that love kicking goals. It's called the Hungry Hungry Hippos. It's the Hungry Hungry Hippos Goal Kicking Club. Now, Zach Toohey, he's a life member of the Hungry Hungry Hippos because he did the hippo celebration. Now, if we send you an instructional video, is there any chance you can replace the bow and arrow for a Hungry Hungry Hippo celebration next game when you kick a goal?
Look, it would be it would take a bit for me to do that, but I certainly would consider it. If you send me the instructional video, if I get it down pat, I will consider changing it up. But I do need to kick a goal first. I haven't kicked one for a long time at the minute, so
mate,
might have to get onto a goal first before I start celebrating. But if you send me that instructional video, I'll try and get onto it for you.
See, all you needed was motivation to kick a goal. Like, you're done with the bow and arrow. You were like, I've already got my celebration. It's already done. I need a new Sally.
I'm not
now we got the Sally.
I'll do the hippo. I'll do the hippo once for you, just to keep the podcast happy.
Very good.
Yes, mate.
You've got some luscious hair, Zave. It's pretty impressive, but it's unfortunately not the most luscious locks at the club. Darcy Byrne-Jones is rocking around with what we think is the greatest mullet in the game at the moment, even better than Bailey Smith's. How does he go about tending to that mullet?
Yeah, I think Darcy has an amazing mullet, and I think it's probably, I do agree with you, it's probably the best mullet in the AFL currently. I don't know what he does too much. I don't think he does. I think the trick is he doesn't do too much of it. He cuts it when he needs to and just lets it go. Just to let it go by itself. Doesn't do too much work to it, I think, and that's kind of the trick to it, I think.
Mate, there's a few people at Port Adelaide that are getting up and about and playing some very, very good footy. It's proved you're top of the ladder. You guys are crushing it at the moment. Big win on the weekend. Does anyone strut around more than Robbie Gray, especially after he kicked that one after the siren? He's been playing out of his skin at the moment. Is there a bit of a strut? Does he need to get pulled back to earth, or you guys are happy to see it?
He must be walking around Rundle Mall with the biggest strut going.
That'd be if we could walk around Rundle Mall. Unfortunately, we got some pretty tight restrictions on us at the minute. We can't do that. But Robbie, no, he's a very, very grounded person and very humble. And he's probably the opposite of walking around with a strut. He barely acknowledges his own game and tries to talk about anyone else except himself. So while he shows a lot of confidence on game day and certainly plays with an amazing flair and natural ability, as soon as he's off the ground, he's very, very quick to talk about other people and he rarely talks about himself. He actually hates the spotlight. And I think you might even be able to tell that, he never really does too much media. He doesn't like putting the spotlight on himself. So Robbie is a very, very humble and great team person for us.
Does that make it worse that he's such a good player? You're like, mate, at least have something about you. Come on, please.
Oh, I reckon that just suits Robbie and suits who he is. I think for some different players and for some people, it obviously suits their personality and the way they go about it. But the way that Robbie is off the ground and just the way he is as a person, it suits it perfectly. Like he's all business on the ground, and then he'll be very calm and quite relaxed off the ground and doesn't really give away a whole lot for in terms of media, etc. So. That's just what Robbie does.
Now, how much are you praying that the AFL Grand Final is going to be held at Adelaide Oval? Are you just seriously lobbying the government to push pretty hard? Because it's an amazing arena, but because you guys love playing there, are you really hoping that the SA government pulls one out of their skin here and gets the granny there?
I certainly am. I would love to play an AFL Grand Final at all, let alone at Adelaide Oval. I think it'd be an amazing thing, not only for South Australia, but also for Port Adelaide Football Club if we do manage to get there. It's obviously a long way away. We've got a long way to go to get there. But if we somehow play in the Grand Final, it'd be amazing if it was at Adelaide Oval. I think it's one of Australia's best grounds. It's probably my favourite ground to play on, for obvious reasons. But I think it's a great venue for it. I think we hopefully by the stage of when the grand final's around, we can have a lot bigger of a crowd. So obviously 10,000 is great at the minute, but hopefully by the time it's the grand final time, we can have a massive crowd there.
Mate, 10,000 would just feel like a local footy, like a Gippsland-based grand final for you, surely.
No, it actually doesn't. The Port fans are very, very loud, and the 10,000 makes it feel probably about 30,000, I reckon, in any other teams' fans. But local footy for Foster's, it's quite quiet. You might get a couple of car horns and stuff here and there, but it's quite bleak. It's not too much going on at Foster footy.
Who's the local Foster team? Who did you play for growing up?
Yeah, Foster Tigers. Foster Tigers was my team growing up. That's who I played for.
Now, our last question for you, Zabe, before we let you go, is we do like to find out from the people who we interview any young fellas who we haven't heard about and who you think are on the up and up. And the previous ones that we've had, you've got some pretty big boots to fill because Nick Haynes gave a bit of credo to Jake Riccardi about 4 weeks before he got his debut, and he's come out and kicked 6 in the first 2. And we had Isaac Rankin was called out by Brandon Ellis a couple of weeks before he debuted. So who have we got to look out for from the young brigade in Port?
Well, I've got the pressure being put on me.
That's what we do.
That's a pretty difficult one for me to actually answer. There's definitely been some great young players coming to Port Adelaide in the last couple of years. We've got a really strong draft. From my age group, we have some really good players that haven't even got a chance yet to play AFL level from my draft. But then also this year's or last year's draft, 2019 draft, has also been some terrific players that have come in, and one of them's Miles Bergman. I think he was our first pick in last year's draft, and he is a really athletic player. He reads the game well, and he's got some really nice composure when he gets the ball in his hands. I think he's one to watch, hopefully in the coming weeks as the season goes on. I'm hoping that Miles gets a game because he's had a really good year and he's been very consistent. So I'm hoping to see Miles get a game this year. So I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. You heard it here first on He's Been Doing It All Day. Mate, we'll come back to that. I'm sure in the last couple of rounds, we'll get a post up and get some highlights up for sure. But Zave, thanks for joining us. Foster's finest.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a great Sunday afternoon for me. So thanks very much for having a chat.
Not necessarily a highlight, but not a low light. That's all we aim for.
Right in the middle. No,
Yeah.
It's been a highlight for sure.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much, guys.
There's a lot of podcasts out there that say they have the most prestigious award, but I feel like ours definitely is the most prestigious because we find out who's been doing it all day. Symon, kick us off. Who's your award going to this week?
My who's been doing it all day. So in the Geelong game, Geelong Doggies, Patrick Dangerfield was superhuman from the second quarter onwards, but he didn't get it for me. That's how good this bloke was.
Didn't get it?
Nah. Because his running mate, Gary Rowan, was unbelievable. He was so good. He was so good in the second half. I don't know, man. He just runs much faster than he looks like he can run. That's one thing. And he's much tougher than he looks like he should be also. It must be the red hair. I don't know. But kicked 2 goals, 1, got 10 touches.
He's very angry.
And he was very much Paddy D's running mate. Perfect example. There was a contested ball. It was on the wing. It was on the wing like the camera side. The ball bobbled out and it was almost in the middle between Gary Rowan and Bailey Smith. And then the ball just kind of sat there and you could see Gary Rowan was running and you see him speed up. And as soon as he speeds up, Bailey Smith stopped. He just pulled up and didn't contest the ball. And after that, it was like, nah, this is all over. They contest it. Bulldogs guy wins it, kicks it out of bounds on the full. Geelong went down, kicked a goal. And it was like, well, that's it. It's just a bit of mustard, I really reckon. So Gary Rowan, he's been doing it all day for me.
All right, Justin.
Gary Rowan is like the ultimate microwave man. Just like once every 6 weeks, he just plays a game and he's like in the TV screen like 40 times. And you're like, what is going on? Why doesn't he do this all the time?
Yes.
Never a guy who's going to get more than 15 touches either.
No way.
But if he gets 15, Jesus, damaging 15.
Might be the most inconsistent player in the whole competition. Just
Mate,
randomly kicks forward like, okay, sweet.
Which is why when he's on, you got to give him the who's been doing it.
Yeah, exactly right. Limited opportunities. Love that. My man who's been doing it all, Jack Steele has been doing it all day. Not to be confused with Hunter Clark. I live with a St Kilda supporter and we've watched him every week and 14 times a game I go, was that Steele? Or was that Clark? Yeah, that's Steele. That's it. But I reckon I've finally got it down named. But he is an absolute star. 26 and a goal last night. I think he's averaging 23 for the year or something. Daniel Cherney from The Age tweeted, is he the best ex-Giant? Which I
saw that.
Whoa.
I think that's ridiculous. I think that's
Stretch.
Who is the best
that's a bit
ex-Giant?
Just pump the
Adam
brakes.
Treloar. Adam Treloar probably got a pretty good argument. Yeah. Taylor Adams probably got a pretty good argument.
Yep.
Say Treloar,
Boyd won a premiership.
Preston and Adams the next level.
Yep.
Presty's a Gold Coast. He's your boy from the Sunny Boys.
He's a trader. Sorry. Right. No, he's a trader. Sorry. Anyway.
Dylan Shield. Yeah, I mean...
Treloar, I reckon's front runner.
But yeah, Jack Steele's putting together quite a good season. There's a lot of AA buzz around him.
He's a gun. He's been doing it all day, without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, my bloke who's been doing it all day is, and we referenced this in the chat with Xavier Duursma, but Charlie Dixon has been doing it all day. And I'm not talking kicking goals, I'm not talking taking pack marks. That guy has been trying to explode out of his skin every time he celebrates. It looks like he's trying to go full, like you said, Hulk smash, but it looks like he could genuinely split himself open with some of those celebrations.
He's cut up. He's cut up guy. Very cut up.
Yeah, we get it, Charlie. You're 105 kilos of pure muscle, but we don't need to see the inside of the muscle as well. You're huge.
Bro, we get it. You lift, man. You lift. I reckon he ripped his own shirt off the other day. You know, he got that in that scuffle. Yeah. Like, Jesus, Charlie, we're trying to wrestle you. Why are you taking your shirt off? Oh, don't worry about it, fellas.
Someone get the KY.
Do you reckon he's leaving? Start of the year, he was the hottest thing in the whole world, and then he had 6 weeks where he couldn't get a kick, and now all of a sudden he's worth $1 million again, and he's going to Brisbane. Is that any truth to that?
Is he going to Brisbane? No way. No. Surely not. Why would he go back? Where's he from originally?
Queensland.
Right, which is why he started the Suns, huh?
Charlie Dixon. There you go. Fun fact for you. Charlie Dixon kicked the first goal ever for the Sunny Boys.
There you go. That is a
There
fun
you go.
fact.
Go Suns.
Yep, and we will leave you with that fact. Thanks for joining us for another episode of He's Been Doing It All Day, brought to you by the Carlton Draft. Check them out, Carlton Draft t-shirts, because our shirt is up there for sale. As we said at the start, full episode on YouTube. Just search for He's Been Doing It All Day or check us out at Insta at Been Doing It All Day. We'll see you for round 15.